Welcome, everybody. This is Dr. Josh Long with AME Podcast, my quest to talk to folks who are lifelong learners in music education, kind of my thoughts of, hey, they're still playing beyond the classroom and how to encourage others to continue playing music beyond the classroom. Because I think sometimes we think, well, school ends, music ends, and it doesn't. We're sponsored by Art and Music Emporium, which is serving artistic excellence. We do things such as lessons, we fix instruments, and we've been doing some performance initiatives in case you are interested in that, which anybody can be involved in. We do a band down in Wildwood, New Jersey called the Annual Community Band by the Sea, and that usually happens the end of July. I just actually got our date for that for 2025. We also have been doing the Bethlehem Steel Company Legacy Band, which we did a performance in 2024 at Music Fest in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And depending, again, when you're watching this, we do offer tuba Christmases, which I know it's coming, and it's coming way too quick, as I keep saying, as the year is ending. So if you're interested in any of them, look on our website, www.artmusicemporium.com, and you can see some of the events that we do, and I'd love to have you involved. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, just because when we post these podcasts, you'll know about it, as well as we are on Facebook, Art and Music Emporium. You can actually like us there. We also have a Patreon account, which any money and proceeds we get really help folks, again, make music beyond the classroom and what I call the lifelong learning in music education. So I'm so excited about our next guest. I got the great experience to work with her when I was in the State College area in Center County. I saw, and I know I didn't tell her this yet, and she hopefully is not going to be too worried about this, but I saw such a light in her playing abilities and her idea of just playing clarinet. She just wants to be out there and playing music, and she always has this experience, where she wants to be involved. And why I say that is because if you're in Center County, you'll probably, and there's a clarinet, you'll probably see Jenny Koberna. So, hey, hi, Jenny. How are you doing?
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So I thought it would be kind of cool to just kind of start right where we are right now, to just talk a little bit about what you were doing and how you started and got into music making. If you can remember, I know, and I'm not trying to be smart here. I know it was
No, I'm really old.
back in a while. You know what I mean? But just some thoughts of your interests in how you got involved with music. Let's just start there, if that's cool.
Yeah. I think I was in sixth grade, and my family had moved to Michigan,
Okay.
and my family really wasn't musical, and we had the opportunity to join a band in this little
Hmm.
elementary school, and it's kind of funny because my only choices were flute and clarinet, because all the boys had to choose between trumpet, sax, and trombone, and then the girls were either going to be flute or clarinet. So I really had I didn't know anything at all. And so I had a good friend, and we thought, well, we don't want to be competitive. And
Yeah.
she had a bit of an overbite. So she was told she couldn't play clarinet. So she got the flute and I got the clarinet. So it wasn't like any love at first sight with the sound or anything. It was
Wow.
just, there I was. So squeaks and
Yeah.
all.
And
Yeah.
that's interesting how, and I'm not, I know some people will probably go different ways with this, but how it was kind of set that way where, the boys did more the brass and, the girls did the woodwinds, because that's obviously not the case today. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Which
I
is
mean, one of
great.
my daughters plays tuba and the other plays trombone.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although
So
I'm happy, I like the clarinet, so I'm happy with that. I don't have
yeah.
regrets, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just interested as you move through, and we're just going to talk about, the school, the institution. What did you find interesting about playing clarinet and being involved? I mean, it maybe not necessarily had to be just the clarinet playing, but I'm just more interested in, your participation level, because obviously I believe you went all the way through school, right?
Oh
Playing
yeah,
the clarinet.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Went through. I just loved it. I loved playing. I liked the sounds coming together. I liked
Yeah.
being part of a group. Um, I didn't like practicing that much,
Okay.
but I liked band, and I liked the people in band. I liked the humor of the people in band,
Sure.
as a teen, and it was just kind of my place.
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I was into it as much as I knew how to be into it at that point. I mean, I never took lessons in high school or anything like that, but I did practice and I did well, so and it was mostly, I would say, fun and social, and I just liked music. I mean, I think, I didn't really come from a musical family, but I did used to take my clarinet and, put on pop tunes of the time
Hmm.
and try to play along with them by ear and just, kind of stuff like that, that just was fun to kind of blend in with, whatever. So I enjoyed that. So
Yeah,
yeah, it
that
was more than just social, I guess. I did enjoy the musical part of it too.
Yeah, that's actually awesome. A couple things, and I want to jump back about something, but, right away playing with pop tunes. I mean, I'm just thinking my music ed brain right here, right? We're like, oh, make sure, you go home and try to listen to the pitches. And that was awesome that you're doing that, at such a young age, kind of playing with the pop tunes. Because I always joke, and I've said this publicly a bunch of times, I like Christmas music. And Leroy Anderson's A Christmas Festival, and Sleigh Ride, all of those tunes. I went and I tried to play them with the parts I had from band, and it was the orchestra version. So of course
Oh,
the key was totally off.
yeah. Yeah, the keys
And
were a problem, but
yeah.
yeah. But then, it's funny because you find yourself doing things without really understanding what you're doing, which in a way is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
You're
Yeah.
not thinking, oh, that's in G sharp. You're just kind of thinking, okay, that note, and yeah. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's actually kind of cool how you find that, and I think a lot of people don't realize that they think where you have to be exactly right with every note. And in that, you're exploring, I mean, you're
right,
definitely was exploring in that kind of point. So that's very interesting that you brought that
yeah,
up. Yeah.
yeah. And then playing along with some of the harmonies too was kind of cool. Again, it's kind of nerdy kid, the oldest of four, hiding from my siblings. I mean, that's kind of what I did. So, oh,
That's cool.
but it
I
was
mean, that's
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing, before we kind of move on of what you were doing in college, you made a comment of how it was a place that was for you. And I want to just, if you can remember, and maybe I'm hoping that this is still happening today with you, what what did that place what did that place do for you? And I mean the band room, obviously the band students, the band
Mhm.
itself, right? Because you were involved with it, but you
Right.
kind of like right away you said it was the place for me, and I'm just interested if you can expand a little bit on that if you have any thoughts.
Um, hmm. I guess I like music, number one, but it
Yeah.
was nice to do something that was bigger than the individual. I like being
Okay.
part of something that was doing something bigger, that had a goal of
Yeah.
doing something bigger. And we all had different parts to play and you all come together. And it was just, I really like that. I feel, especially, in high school, so much as, I guess bands are competitive too in a way now, which is unfortunate, someone with all the chair challenges I hear about and stuff like that. But, um, it was just nice to blend and do things together. I like that whole idea rather than, I don't know, just the stress of being an adolescent and
Well,
the sports and who all the cool kids are, and you go there, and for the pretty much with band kids, I mean, you are who you are, and you end up really accepting a lot of people that are very different than you, and getting to know people that are just not afraid to be themselves and follow what they enjoy. And I really liked that. Even as a high school, I liked people that were themselves, and I think in band you could kind of be yourself, which
yeah, very
was nice.
very well said. And the only reason is there's something to be about kind of an ensemble, and it doesn't necessarily have to be band, but it's about, a
Yeah,
choir, orchestra, but it's something about you're part of this group, and you explained it well, like right away, I think, like kind of like the military sort of. It's bigger than you, because they always
right,
talk about that, but it's like it's where it's very accepting too. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And I'm not saying that any other things or sports are not like that, but
right. But
sometimes I
yeah,
feel, it's you have to you have to perform at a certain level in those different organizations where at band it's like it's okay, just come, and we'll get you there. you
Yeah.
know
And there's some of that, and I do appreciate sports too. A good play and something that's well coordinated, that is really cool.
yeah, me too.
But I think, when you have those moments in music, whether it be in band or even a small ensemble, or now I'm playing mandolin, it's like a breathing organism you're part of, like you're a cell in this big organism or something. And when it works well, it's just so cool to be part of that. I like that. And it's, if you told me when I was in high school and I was in my late 60s, I'd be doing this, I would say, nah, no, probably not. But it's so cool. Thanks to people like you, just opened up a world for people like me. So I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. But
It just keeps going.
yeah, well, it keeps going. Well, that's just my interest with it because I feel like, you explained it so well how it's like you're just part of this bigger structure, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's that's what I'm so excited about because as I said in the beginning of the podcast, I see so many people who do that within their school and then their school ends and then that's it. And then life happens and you become an adult and then you can't play an instrument anymore. And no, that's not the case, or
Yeah.
sing.
Well, I think the hard part is that you have to practice. And I certainly went through that phase where, I was in a band, my Wednesday night out, and I had, two young kids and I was working and it was chaotic. And, I didn't practice. I just showed up for band and that was my night of,
Yep.
but I get that, just being too busy and there's something you've got to cut. And, it ended up feeling like, oh, I'm not good like I could be. And I just had to forgive myself and say, this is my time. I'll do the best I can with what I have. But I get that with life being busy. And it's I think, especially those ages when you're working and, if you have kids or if you have other, family members or things on the side that take more time, it's hard to make your priorities. But for me, it was always therapeutic. So I think that was another thing for me. It was part of my, mental health.
Yeah, definitely. And first of all, I wanted to say one thing. You showed up and you continue to
Yeah.
show up, even though, but I wanted to actually talk about that because believe it or not, I know you participated back in the days of my research and I remember that part. That's one of the things that I
Uh,
remember. And I wanted, if you don't mind, can we talk a little bit about that? And because I know, beyond when, again, this is beyond the classroom, you were using this as more of a therapeutic side of you. If you don't mind talking a little bit about that, because I feel like
yeah.
that's a very important facet to what music did for you and still does. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I think, I played through college and for one thing, and, I was not a music major, but I somehow slipped into the wind ensemble. They didn't know it. And when they found out, they said, okay, you've got to get a buffet clarinet and you've got to take lessons, which I'd never taken lessons. I just really worked. I worked on all my scales. I did all my stuff. I had and I was lucky because I just thought, I just went for it and I wasn't shy. But anyway, so I ended up playing a lot in college and I loved it. And it was always, and I know for the majors, it was stressful. It was something else
Mhm.
they had to do. But for me, I'm studying anatomy and chemistry and all this stuff. And I came to music and it was just like, just, so wonderful. And I could focus. And of course, I loved all the people that were music majors. And my best friends were music majors.
Mhm.
But so then when I went to nursing school, and eventually got my nurse practitioner degree. But I did do a lot of, I don't want to say it was like an innocent country girl, but in a way I was. So
Mhm.
when I first started nursing, I just saw a lot of things I had no idea,
Yeah.
happened to people or, it was just so, um, so hard.
Mhm.
And I know I went to the Charlottesville Municipal Band, which is where I met my husband.
Mhm.
Um, but I went there and on Wednesday night rehearsals or Tuesday night, I guess it was, and just it was just my place. It was my place of just healing, and the people there were so kind. I remember specifically one time, we played "You'll Never Walk Alone," which was kind of our end song when I was at JMU. The Dukes would play that song at the end. And I just had a horrible, horrible day. And I just started crying. And I just, in band, it was so embarrassing. And this elderly man, he must have been 70, went and got me a lemonade and brought me a lemonade and put his arm around me. And I thought, you know what? It's embarrassing, but this is so kind and this is so characteristic of a community band family. And that was the only time that happened, but it was just, it was like my home. And the other thing I love about it is just, there are people from all walks of life and all ages, from the young to the very old. We had an oboe player in Charlottesville that played one week and he was in his 80s and, then the next week he was gone and he played, his whole life, which was really cool. So, I just, yeah.
Yeah.
I babbled.
Yeah, no. Well,
Yeah.
the funny thing is like I was actually hoping you were going to talk a little bit about that. Not that I want to get into the weeds of what you saw,
Oh, yeah.
as being a nurse, but just to hear how it helped you, because by all means, I don't think I could ever do a position like that and see what you probably have seen. But the fact that, you've, used music to kind of help you. And just like you said, I never heard that story where, it just, you got so emotional about it and then everybody just
Yeah.
comforts you. Because I mean, I think that's what,
Yeah.
I think that's what's neat about the community band world. And you mentioned like, all the walks of life. It's like we're this kind of big, it's like we all connect as
Yeah.
like a family, I mean, to a
Yeah.
point, you know what I mean? And we all connect and help each other out. And that's what
Yeah.
I think is amazing, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I didn't make a big deal of that. I mean, it wasn't all the time. It was just like that one
Mhm.
time, but yeah, it was always a source of nourishment though,
Yeah.
for me. Um, it was great. And I just, yeah, I love being around all kinds of different people. It was, and then meeting my husband, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just nice to hear that kind of side of it. And let me ask this kind of question, this shift our gear a little bit here. So I know you had this, and I do remember, I'll be honest, I do remember you telling me the story of
Oh,
how you slipped into the music major world, in college. You know what I mean? And then you stood up to the challenge of that because yeah, it does get stressful and there's a lot to do and there's a lot of things and the playing ability. But I'm just interested to hear a little bit about that challenge because it seemed like even though that you were, doing everything in the more medical nursing world, you were seeing a challenge and you stepped up to that challenge. And I know you took that challenge as being therapeutic because I will say, as you already made a comment, most of the music majors sometimes unfortunately take that negative because, that's their job and they get very stressed out playing music
oh,
because of that. You know what I mean? So I'm just
oh.
interested to hear how how you took lessons. You didn't take lessons before. You got the buffet clarinet, all of those things.
Right.
So what
I saved
what
my lifeguarding money. I got the clarinet. Yeah.
so what
Yeah.
motivated you, to do all of that? Like what pushed you to, like, yep, I'm going to get my clarinet and I'm going to take lessons and I'm going to be a part of this. If you remember.
Hmm. I think just hearing how good they were and just wanting to be
Mhm.
part of it, you know, it was just magic, they were just so good. Um, yeah, and it was just kind of a crazy thing. I practiced, I mean, I didn't know what to practice.
Mhm.
I think they gave me an etude or something to do, and then I had to sight read, and then they said, you got to know these scales, and I just practiced like a fiend. And I worked on tone a lot just because I wanted
Okay.
to sound good. And then I thought I have nothing to lose. And so I think I would be much more nervous probably now. But but they were my friends from marching band. I mean, I think
Hmm.
that's the other thing is when I went to school, you go early for band camp. And
Hmm.
so by the time you're there, you know all these people at the beginning of college. So it's instant friends when all the people come in, you already have in a way your people. So
Yeah.
that was nice too. I knew, all the freshman majors were there and I ended up getting to be really good friends with them. So I never felt anything negative
Yeah.
from my friends or from anyone. And I felt like I knew a lot of people. So, um, I was kind of a wannabe. It's funny. I talked to my parents about majoring in music at one point, and they were like, "Why would you do that? You know, even why would you take lessons? You know, they just didn't get it." But
Yeah.
um, you know, I loved it. I loved every second of it. Yeah.
Well, that's cool because well, and the negative side of it, the job market's not the greatest and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. And but it seems like that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. And you just said it, your parents didn't understand it. It gave you so much, and it still does. I'm not saying
Mhm.
it doesn't today, but it gave you so much that you wanted to be involved with it at that point, and you wanted to practice. You want to be motivated to do that. You bought the clarinet. You used your, lifeguarding money. I
Yeah.
mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
You know, it's just very
Yeah.
interesting to think about that time, how what you did and how you motivated you to make music.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it was a really good period of my life. I really enjoyed it. And I think it was probably the right move. I don't think I have the confidence to be a band director. I don't
Hmm.
think I that personality to get in front of a big group and do that. I don't know. And I certainly wouldn't be good enough to perform. So I think that was, you know, for money. So
Yeah.
especially starting that late, there's no way. So it was a good decision. And I've loved, I loved the ICU. I flew in a helicopter for 9 years. That was really fun. And I was a nurse practitioner with kids for 15 years. So, I mean, I've had a wonderful time. So it's been a really nice blend. I have
A
no
blend, yeah.
regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so as we should kind of shift away from the college world and more of why you're working, I mean, you did suggest this a little bit already. You said you had two kids and a family and you're working and you're doing all this stuff. And I understand the whole practicing side of it. You can't practice like you were at college. And I'll be honest
Right.
to say I can't practice the way I used to be in college either.
Yeah.
So because the time and the commitments everyone has. So let me just get a little idea too. I know you were in a different area and I know you came to Center County, but you still showed up. You still were motivated to play. And I'm just interested if you could talk a little bit about that, especially where, you know, um, how can I say it the right way? You didn't stop. You
Well,
know?
and this is really crazy. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I am one of these crazy people. But when my husband was, we lived in Wisconsin. My thing was whenever he's had lived in two places with jobs. And when
Okay.
after he finished his residency, he was looking, for a job. And I said, my only criteria, I will live anywhere, but I have to be able to be in a municipal band or a community band. So that was my only criteria. So yeah, we're talking like I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it's just something I love. And it's only grown more. I mean, I'm now retired and I want to do more music. So I am. I mean, and I absolutely love it. So,
Yeah, well, only reason I'm saying is I was before and I when I was thinking about this, I watch on Facebook, obviously, because I know I was involved with a lot of the Center County in Pennsylvania groups. And I'm like, well, there's Jenny in the municipal band, and there she is in the Belfont community band, like you were. And now I see in the little German band, and then
oh,
now
and
I'm,
yeah, the Stompers. Yeah.
yeah, and the Stompers. Yep, I saw the
Yeah.
Stompers, and I'm like, that's why I was joking in the beginning of this because it's like you're involved with it, and then you did mention mandolin too. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know
Well,
that. It's like you
yeah.
just it's a part of you, which that's what I'm trying to get at because it's like you obviously go and be, and if you could for a second, I mean, I know it's what you like to do and what you love to do. And I know this might be a hard question, so do the best you can. But what do you think it is about that makes it such a great love for you? And I know it's hard to dissect that because sometimes I have to say this too. You mentioned a lot of keywords, magic. The magic happened, and sometimes we can't explain what that magic is. But I'm just interested if you have any thoughts about that, just because that's I find that because I'm trying to see what as much as I can, and sometimes you can't answer that question, like what makes people do this, participate, to be involved, just like you're retired now, you're doing more music now than you were doing
Oh,
when you're
it's
working, you know what I mean?
insane.
Yeah. Which
I
is
think I'm in 10
great.
groups now.
Yeah, which is great.
um, yeah, I'm abnormal, but
You're not abnormal, by the way.
Um, when I'm talking with you, I'm kind of thinking, I think I am. Um, um, yeah, I think it's that same thing though. I mean, number one, making music with people. Number two, the connection with people.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I feel like music, I mean, it's part of being human. I mean, music goes back to the beginning of time and all cultures. There's some kind of music. There's always been music.
Mhm.
People, I don't know, create instruments. As a way to make music. It's always been here. And I think it's something that's deeply ingrained in a lot of us, whether or not we play an instrument or just enjoy listening to music.
Mhm.
We're surrounded by it. So I don't know. I just think it's an integral part of being human. Um, as far as playing, yeah, I like the connection with people. I love making music. I love that I'm learning. Like now, one thing when I retired, um, I said, okay, I finally have time to be curious about a lot of things because I think when you're working, I mean, you're always doing something. I was always doing continuing ed. I was always, just it was just all encompassing, and then I'd play. But now it's like I'm curious, and it's just fun. I can try to understand the music, like, oh, this goes up a fifth every so often, or oh, this is doing, oh, this is diminished seventh chord. I mean, I wouldn't have done that before. It's just kind of fun. I'm learning these things, and the mandolin has helped with that too. But it's just, I just feel like this whole world is opening up. And one thing during COVID, Meg, in the Belfont band, our
Mhm.
director, Pedlo Smith, did a series of lectures based on Aaron Copland's How to Listen to Music.
Mhm.
And I'd always kind of thought, I like the magic in the music, I like the escape in the music. And I thought, if you learn too much about music, it'll become dead. You just
Mhm.
start analyzing and all this stuff, and it's going to lose its magic. And so I'd always been resistant to that. I didn't really want to know theory. I didn't want to know that stuff because I thought this is my little ball of magic, and I don't want to lose that by taking the life out of it by overanalyzing it. But that course really changed how I looked at stuff. I mean, and I'd missed a couple of them, but she went through chapters and she had people come in and talk, and that was a real light bulb for me. Um, that was that was really neat. And so I've tried to listen better and
Yeah.
listen to tunes better, listen to who's doing what and how things repeat and yeah, it's just been really, really cool.
That's neat. Yeah, it reminds me of as you're talking here, it reminds me of like a slogan of a good friend of mine who said, the day you think you know everything about music is the day you should stop because you're really not listening at that point. And it's
Right.
so true because you can never learn everything.
No.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't
Oh,
know
no.
everything about music. And, it's like there's so much more to learn. And
Oh, yeah.
it's just fascinating to me that it provides that. I mean, just to think
Absolutely.
about it, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying other areas and things are not that, but it's just it offers so much.
It really does. And I felt it's just lifelong growth. I mean, you're always
Mhm.
growing. I mean, if you are tending to it, you're always growing and you're always learning. And to me, there's no end. And I think again, I didn't think I'd find myself in this position at this point in my life. I mean, I'm almost 68 and I've just got this, it's just so fun to be doing this now.
Mhm.
Um, and again, it's the connection with other people. It's
Yeah.
the learning more about music. I've gotten into small ensembles now. I'm in a couple small ensembles and
Hmm.
just learning how to play expressively as part of that is really, really cool.
Yeah. And it's different. It's
I'm
different.
loving that, really, really loving that. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm in a trio now. And it was kind of one of those things they were like, oh, do you want to read some music a little bit? And they're both really good. And I was kind of like, yeah, I'll read. And then they wanted to perform. And I'm like, I'm not ready to do that. And I kind of got pushed. And at one point, I forget where I heard this expression, just planting the flag and going for it. And I just
Hmm.
thought, okay,
Yeah.
what the heck? I'm going to go for it. So I've been working hard, and I think I'm still the weak link, but it's just so, I'm learning so much from
Hmm.
them about how to practice, how to work on sections, how to be together in your expression. And not think know your part so well that you're thinking about the other parts.
Hmm.
Um, and what they're doing and trying to blend and feel and see what they're going to do. It's been wild. It's been really, I mean, I'm glad I planted the flag. I was
Yeah.
afraid. And, and then and I'm in another quintet of just all women. And that's another thing I just thought, I never thought this was possible and that people would be up
Hmm.
for it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Someone else took the initiative and I was like, yes, I'd love to do that. And everyone was eager. So I think out in these communities, there probably are, if people are thinking, oh, I'd love that, I bet if they ask around, there are other people that would love
Hmm.
to do it as well. And there's a lot of music online. A lot of it's free. Some you need to pay for, but it's not outrageous. And it's
Right.
just a really neat way to connect and something I didn't know people would do. But
Hmm.
you know, I would say if anybody, if are listening or whatever are interested in that, just reach out because it's surprising um, how many people are just probably waiting to do something
Yeah.
like that or just not realizing that other people are interested too. So,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely because there's always, I kind of even me, I feel like sometimes it doesn't exist out there, and you never know what's out there
right.
because there's other people who want to play and perform and be involved with stuff, and that's
Yeah.
thank you, and I joke on the podcast when people say this, it's like I did not pay for this person to say this, it's like because so many people feel like. Oh, sure, that's what they say. But no, I mean, there is
It's
so many
true.
people
Yeah.
out there. It is true.
Yeah. And yeah. And I'm in another quintet that we just read once a month. We just all get together and read, just read music and just for fun. And then people just
Yeah.
bring things. And one person, her dad was a band director, so she's got a bunch of stuff. So it's just a wonderful evening. And you just leave with your heart full. And,
Mhm.
but yeah, I would say definitely reach out. I had no idea that people would be so receptive to that. And I think people are hungry for it, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
Hungry for that connection and hungry for,
yeah. Well,
yeah,
definitely. And it's that kind of like that mindset changes. You know what I mean? Like you were just saying, it's a wonderful evening, and and not that I just want to share this. Like there's been many days that I come in and I'm just so, it's not angry. It's just, I'm not myself. And then you pick up your instrument,
yeah,
you get involved with music and you totally change. I mean,
yeah,
it's instant. You know what I mean? Even if it's 1 hour.
right.
It's like, and I walk
Yeah,
out a totally different person, and I
yeah.
think that gets back to that therapeutic, side of
Oh,
it
yeah.
where,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like that with my mandolin now, not to get off clarinet, but it's just,
yeah,
you can
sure.
play more notes at once. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that was a huge leap because I never, didn't really know much about strings. But it's nice because it's helping me with the clarinet though, just
Hmm.
understanding chords, understanding chord progressions, understanding the leading voice. I mean, just like, how to voice lead.
Yeah.
And then I'll notice things in band music or in other kinds of music. And so it's kind of cool, the way it's all just, yeah, just growing and learning. And
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's
So,
just fun. So
so I,
fun.
I have one question. I want to go back a little bit. You made a comment
Yeah.
about putting your stamp down that I'm going to do this,
Oh, the
even though you
flag.
didn't, you had the flag,
Planting the
right? Or
flag.
flag. I said
I
stamp.
don't know
Yeah.
where I
Planting
heard
the
that.
flag.
I've heard that
Yeah.
somewhere. That's not
Yeah.
my thing. Someone said that with relation to
Yeah.
something. And I thought, yeah, I think that's what I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where you're, and I'll be honest, I know you kind of said I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this happen, and that took courage. And I was just wondering, even though you were nervous about it, and I'm not saying that you're a nervous person, but I'm just saying that you're more a little nervous about it. How did
Mhm.
that, so two things. I mean, what motivated you to do that? And then also, how did you feel afterwards, if I may ask? And as you said, I'm going to do this, and you went out and performed, because I feel like there's that weird
Yeah.
that line, where people, I don't know if I can do this,
Well,
you
it's
know.
funny because in the trio, that's the one where I feel like I'm most challenged. We went down and we played for the Huntington Arts series.
Hmm.
People paid to hear us, and that's what freaked me out. They were
Okay.
paying money to hear our group, and we played for a little like an hour and a half. We had an hour and
Okay.
a half's worth of music, and when there's only three of you, that's
That's a
a
lot.
lot of time to focus, which I would say I have, that's probably a weakness for me is after an hour, that's a long time to focus and not miss notes and
Hmm.
really do that. And so I was just like, it was funny because like right before I was honestly looking for a door, like I've got to get out of here. I can't do this. I can't do it. I'm not up for it. I mean, I worked really hard and I did all the little practice tricks. I recorded myself. I did everything that they tell you to do. And then
Hmm.
I panicked right before. And then I just, of course, there were no doors. I couldn't get out the window. So I had to go and I played and it went well. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it went really well. And I think a lot of work went into it. And
Sure.
the player who's the kind of the head of it is very patient and very positive. And,
Yeah.
it's like you're all humans. And I think that's one thing I learned about it too is, and we brought a lot of people joy. They actually gave us a standing ovation. And I know. So,
Yeah.
we brought people joy, which is what it's about. It was joyful for us. And I think, for me, I walked in, I thought, if I mess this up, I'm never doing this again, is what I said to myself. And then I thought, no, if I mess this up, I'm going to go out and try harder next time.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just, and so I did look into, this is probably off topic, but just, the psychology of just performance, like why do we get nervous like this?
Yep.
And, and tried to take the I out of it and really
Hmm.
think about the we and the melding and that everybody's going to make mistakes. Nobody's
Hmm.
perfect. So
Exactly.
I think just, and I take that to any group. I just do my best and then just, have fun. This is all community stuff. It's not like,
Mm.
the Boston Symphony or somewhere where if you make a wrong note, you are in trouble or whatever. It's fun and I think, well, yeah, I'd be forgiving of others. Well, of course they're going to be forgiving of me.
Right.
We're all there for each other. We're all learning and growing and hopefully getting better and enjoying as you get better, higher levels of challenge. So yeah. So
Yeah.
that was interesting too. I
Yeah.
learned a lot about just performance anxiety. I looked into that
Yeah.
a bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, just worrying
Well,
about
honestly, I think all of us get performance anxiety. And I know, like, and I don't want to say it's the wrong way. I think when you're in a group, it's easier just because you're there with a lot of people. But when you're, like, for example, I will share, I know you were involved with it when I did my recital at Penn State with the Bellefonte
yeah,
Community Band. I mean,
that was
yeah, I
cool.
had anxiety. You know what I mean? Sure. But I feel like you get through that because it means so much to you and you did it and you're so motivated. And sure, I made mistakes.
You did
It's
a
like,
great job. You did a
well,
great
well,
job.
thank you.
And
But I
I
mean,
think
we all
that
made
was,
mistakes.
and it was
It's
a
like,
good experience for the band too, I
yeah, it
think,
was. Yeah.
to see it from that perspective.
Yep.
That was really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. And
mean, I really liked that experience a lot. I thought that was very cool.
yeah, well, I know. And just everything you're talking about now is exactly what I remember the members of the Bellefonte Community Band when we were going to do that rehearsal. Like, wait, we're going to be playing in front of, people that are going to be judging. I'm going to be judging me. But wait a second.
Yeah.
Like everyone was worried about it.
Right. Like,
But
oh,
at
I've
the
got to
same,
be perfect for Josh.
yeah,
You
no, it's
know?
like, but at the same time, it's like, that's what's kind of cool about music. I mean, and yeah, exactly right. You've said it with professional musicians, right? You might not get hired back for that job if you make that mistake, but that's the part of music I don't really care for too much. It's more
Yeah.
of, everyone's going to make a mistake. You try your best, and as long as you do your best, that's all that matters, right? You know,
Yeah.
and more
Oh,
likely,
absolutely.
and I always joke like the mistakes I made, other than, I mean, granted, there was a lot of music people in the audience, but you know, most people don't know, so you just do it that much better the next time.
Yeah, and I think they're not, most people are not listening critically to every note and they don't know the piece inside it out. They haven't, and they're forgiving. I mean, I just think I'm a forgiving audience member,
Right.
so other people probably are too. It's like we're all human. Things happen. You're
Uh-huh.
stifling a sneeze. Who knows what,
Yeah.
things happen, or your mind drifts to whatever, these things happen. So, yeah.
Well, what's very interesting to me, and I wanted to point this out, it's just through your life so far, you've had this connection of learning, and and it's fascinating to me because we say how we're going to learn music, and right away when we talk about learning, we think of that classroom, right? It has to be in the school in that classroom. And that's, that's the adult education in me, if you want to be very philosophical. But it seems like, you can have learning anywhere, and you're having, you're learning the mandolin, so you're learning there, and you're learning through, I mean, you're still playing your clarinet that you played almost all your life, and you're doing that in a trio, and you're learning about performance anxiety, and it's like you're
Like, what am I doing?
yeah, right.
That's
But that's okay.
crazy.
You're challenging yourself, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm finding fascinating and awesome. That I feel it's just, it's amazing that you're doing that, and it's awesome that you're continuing to push yourself to do that, because I think it's giving you so much, you know?
Oh, it's definitely, I'm getting so much more than yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like like I said, I said it from the beginning. It's like if you're in Center County, you'll probably see Jenny doing something, because you want to be there, and that's to me, I feel it's, and that's what I think people don't understand, is what it provides for people, what it provides as far as learning, and obviously the sounds, and then of course the entertainment side of it. It's so much. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
so much that we could stay here for hours and talk about it. You know?
Oh, yeah, we definitely could. And I think too, I mean, I think of just, the times we live in, and not to bring up politics or anything, but I think, it's something that brings people together. It's something we
Mhm.
have in common.
Yep.
You can disagree all you want, and then you come in and you make music together. And
Right.
I think in where we are in this world now, there's so much that people aren't doing together anymore.
Right.
This is something that
Yep.
you can come together, and I think it's just good for community.
Mhm.
I think it's just good for people. It's good to be part of a community that's doing something
Yep.
fun, and yeah. So I just think and again, I think it's nice at whatever level. And the Belfont band, I mean, no auditions, anyone can come.
Mhm.
We have a girl in the clarinet section with Down syndrome, and there was a guy in percussion with cerebral palsy. And I love that. And people that are just coming and picking up their instruments after 30 years, you know, and the whole group is just all there for each other and
Mhm.
whatever you do. And if you hit a wrong note, you know,
Right.
we're having fun together, and we're all a community of souls,
Right.
getting together to bring each other joy and to hopefully bring other people joy too. So when we perform, and that, and that group goes to nursing homes. And I remember one time with Belfont Band, someone came up afterwards and said, "This is my favorite night of the year." It was the Christmas concert. She says, "I look forward to this every single year, and it's my favorite night of the year." And I thought, um, that's cool that you can do
Yeah.
that, for
Mhm.
people. So yeah, so it's nice. And and around here too, it's really nice because you've got like that, which I find really rewarding and really fun, and I love the people in the group. And then I've been doing the Raystown Wind Orchestra, which we're doing
Mhm.
this, I think his last name's Odio Gaudí, this premiere performance about this composer that wrote about Gaudí and Barcelona and all his cool architecture. So it's very, very different. You have some singing to it and all this. So in one end, it's that it just whatever you want to do. There's so many outlets for people. I think now,
Mhm.
according to your interest and how much time you want to put into it. You don't have to
Mhm.
practice every day.
Mhm.
Just you can, I don't know, find your niche.
Yeah.
There are lots of them out there, so which I'm finding out.
I know you're involved in 10 groups, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're not all the time,
Yeah,
it's not
right,
like
right.
every week, but yeah, it's fun. It's a real variety. And again, you make lifelong friends,
Yeah.
and that's you've come together in music. So, and I do like the inclusiveness of community groups. I think
Mhm.
it's one thing I really love about it too. So,
Yeah. I would definitely say the community part, because, I think, as our society, and again, I'm not going there either, but how our society is becoming more separated, and even people moving all over the place.
right.
I'm a prime example of that. It's like there's still that connection that we all have, and I think that's makes it imaginable and exciting, to just see, or just like when I, asked you to do this, you're like, oh yeah, sure. It's like we still have that connection, and
Right.
so, so as
Yeah, it's
we're,
fun yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was thinking in state college band, there's some, university students that come, and then one just got a job in DC. Well, I have a friend in DC from my old music days, and she's a director of a band, and so she knows her band, which is a certain level, and then there's some other bands, and so it was like nice to,
Yep.
connect her, and it's just fun, and
Yep.
again, then there she is, instant friends,
Yep.
and yeah, or instant, involvement in a community or instant connection to that
Yep.
community. So it's a nice thing when you're moving around. We went to Janesville, Wisconsin for 2 years. I was in the Rock County Community Band. That's how I met people,
Yep.
when we first moved. It's just a great way for you to feel part of the community, as you move around, and it's fun. And yeah, it's just kind of, then you get to know people all over and make connections. So
It's
yeah,
funny.
it's a good theme.
It's funny thing you said that because I just want to share this really quickly, and it was actually through the Little German Band.
Mm,
I was going up to New Hampshire, and first thing out of the mount, I get like a list of people who are up there, and one of the gentlemen, one of the founders of the Little German Band, lives up there, and it was so hilarious. He went out to dinner with us. We were doing things together, and
yeah.
and then the other thing is I always joke with my mom, like we go in different areas and she's like, how do you know these people? It's like she's like, you go here and you know this person, you go here and you know that person. And
Yeah.
and I say, music's a small world.
Music, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Because it's usually some sort of connection to some band that we play in.
right.
So
Yeah. Band friends are the best friends, right?
that's right.
So,
So as we're wrapping this up, I just wanted to ask you, and this is kind of what I call a more deep question. You've already gotten
oh,
into a lot of this already, um, but I'm looking at this in the form of keeping people continuing to make music, and then also the individuals that you did mention that might not been 30 years, 40 years, 20 years, 10 years, whatever, since you picked up your instrument. And I was just interested to see what your advice would be for folks to, come out and be involved, and especially if, life does take over, we understand that, or if you're still involved and you're not as motivated anymore or anything in that kind of direction. Just because, I think even though you didn't stop through your entire life, I feel that you did have those times when life
right.
took over. You know what I
Minimal.
mean? Yeah,
Very
yeah,
minimal.
right, right.
Yeah.
But it happens, it
Oh,
does happen.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I was just interested to see what you would say to folks. And like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just, my question I always ask at the end to just see
Ah,
what people have
okay.
to say.
I mean, you mean advice to give to someone who is on the fence
Either on the
or
fence
is thinking about it
or thinking about it, or who've maybe never done it before, or maybe even, because it's never too late. I will say that.
never too
Or,
late?
I mean, or, might be, oh, I don't know if I can continue doing this or doubted about it or whatever you can really say about it, just because, you've been involved with it.
Right. Yeah. Of course, I'm biased. I mean, I
Yeah, we
I
all
say,
are.
go for it, plant that flag. But no, I think definitely you owe it to yourself to put your toe in the water and,
Mhm.
um, see what you think and give it some time. And I think, yeah, if you played in the past, I mean, to me, just I look back at that high school, what I did in high school and even college, and that's really the tip of the iceberg in terms of just the reward and joy I've gotten out of playing. I mean,
Mhm.
I've enjoyed it much more in my adult life than I did even when I was younger. And I think there's something there for everybody. I mean, you
Mhm.
just at whatever level you want. And if you're busy in your life, like I was, and say, you know what, I just need a night out, or I'm focusing on music, playing with music, and talking to nice people that enjoy music, and just getting that fullness of just having music fill my heart. Great. I think, go for it. And if you don't have time to practice, do what you can, and don't
Mhm.
put pressure on yourself either. I think just, you do the best you can with the time you've got. And I certainly understand those busy days,
Yeah.
kind of during that mid lifetime when, or when it's just really crazy. But yeah, I think it's something that's so rewarding and so positive. And when you're looking for, with all the stresses of life, something that brings you, peace and joy and is good for your mind and soul and mental health.
Yep.
Yeah, I just say, give it a try. It might be something, habits take a while, right? So
Yes, they do.
go out every, whatever Wednesday night give yourself a couple months and just see. And if not, then don't beat yourself up either. I think, we all get busy and just say, maybe I'll try in 2 years when, Johnny's in middle school or whatever,
Hmm. Yeah.
but just, yeah, it's just, don't lose it.
Don't lose it. Yeah. That's very well said. Very well said.
Yeah. But
Well,
it's
Jenny,
always there. I think,
yeah,
if you played before, it'll take a while, but it's
yeah,
there, you
yeah.
know.
It'll come back. I know. I
Yeah.
actually worked with a bunch of folks who wanted to come back, and I love doing that just because it everyone thinks, oh, I won't remember, and
Right.
I always it's the old saying, like riding a bicycle. I stopped riding my bicycle when I learned to drive, right? But I came back to it later in life, and sure, yeah, you might be a little wobbly for a little bit, but you'll get back to it. You know,
Yeah.
it'll come really quick, you know.
Well, definitely for people like later in life, like in my age, or like in retirement or kind of thinking, or, kids gone or just having a little more free time. It's such a discovery to discover that all this is out here for you. I mean, who would have thought? And it's exciting to be growing and learning and moving forward in your life in a time when some people are thinking, okay, I'm going to put my feet up and watch TV now. I'm retired, I'm going to get my rewards. And it's just, this is the rewards to keep moving and learning and, being around people that are also interested in doing that. And I guess my final thing is to say, though, if this was not your question, but just to say thank you to you and to thank you to, I think of, Meg and, Lee Hertz and BJ Hickey now at State College,
Yep.
just the people that take time to work with adults. It's different. I think it's different, a whole different way of approaching than when you're
Yep.
in school and giving them a grade.
That's right.
We're going to come. Some of us will practice, some of us won't, or, it just with life and it's just a real mixed bag of stuff. So, just thank you for continuing to invest in us old people and our lifelong journey with music because it's so rewarding and hopefully more people will catch on and discover how rewarding it is. So, thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words, and it's just I will say this, it is a different way because we want you to keep coming back,
Right. And
and
you
so
don't have to get your grade, right?
and when you're adults, you're like, yeah, no,
Yeah,
you know.
that's right. Yeah.
But anyway, Jenny, thank you so much for being part of the podcast. I do want to say, and I'm not saying this just because you thank me, but you are very much an inspiration. I know you don't feel this way, but just watching you continue playing music and getting involved with so many activities and ensembles and two instruments now, and it's like it just warms my heart. I just want to say that just
Oh,
because, just to
well, it
see
really
you
warms
have that
my heart
connection.
too.
It's
It's fun.
just
It's really fun. Yeah.
yeah, it's just so great to see that, because it's keeping music alive,
Yeah.
because I'm afraid it gets shortchanged.
Well, I feel
So
very fortunate and I'm glad you're spreading the word
yeah,
because I do think it's just a good thing.
yeah.
It's one of the good things in life. It's really great. So thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you. All right, thank you again.
Thank you.